morning. Thank you so much. Turns out to have been my classmate in college. It's great to be here. I was here 4 years ago, and it's just amazing to see how this festival has doubled in size, how the rain has finally left. I understand there's been rain basically every year. I'm delighted to be here for the many reasons you might imagine. And in fact, I began my writing life living not that far from here in DuPont Circle almost 20 years ago. Back in the day, there was no internet, no cable, just me and Diane Rehm in my yes, God bless Diane Rehm. And I have to say, it was one of the great moments in my life when I was on the Diane Rehm show for Walking the Bible, and to know how much she has honored writers and words, and to be on that show, and I've since been on a couple times, has been a highlight of my professional life. I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, and when I was 4 years old, my parents moved to a new neighborhood. And this was actually in the 60s, and still today, all the streets in this neighborhood were named after Confederate war generals. We lived on Robert E. Lee Boulevard. And for my 5th birthday, my parents gave me an orange Schwinn Stingray bicycle. Okay, it had one of those swooping banana seats and those ape-hanger handlebars because it made the rider look like an orangutan. And I bet I will get a bigger, anybody remember it turns out that the 2/3 of Americans, I didn't know this, had a Schwinn Stingray bicycle. And one day I was exploring our neighborhood, and I decided to take a kind of quick turnaround in this major thoroughfare that bisects our neighborhood when wham, I was hit by a passing sedan. My mangled bike flew in one direction, my mangled body flew in another. And I was lying across the yellow line on the pavement, and one of our neighbors went running over, and she said, Andy, how are you doing?" using the name of my older brother. "I'm Bruce," I said, and promptly passed out. I broke my left femur that day. It's the largest bone in your body, and spent the next 2 months in a wheelchair. Actually, I was in a body cast first. It went from my chin to my knee, and then a steel bar went from my right knee to my left leg. So I was in a wheelchair, and then I went on and lived my life, and basically for most of my life, I never really thought about my illness. In fact, as you all know, and as you heard, I made a living by walking, by traveling around the world, entering different cultures, and writing about them. Walking the Bible became a book that touched people around the world and ultimately became a television series. And I was the walking guy, and as I said, never thought about my accident. Until one day, 2 years ago, I went to get a routine blood test, and an enzyme called the alkaline phosphatase number was a little bit high, and my doctor suggested I go get a scan, which suggested there was some sort of vague tumor in my left leg. That scan led to another, to an MRI, to an X-ray, and then one day I got a call from my doctor: "The tumor in your leg is not consistent with a benign tumor." I stopped walking, and it took a second for my mind to convert that double negative into a much more horrifying negative. I had cancer. And to think that the tumor was in the same leg, in the same bone, in the same place in my body, it seemed like too much of a coincidence. So that afternoon I went home, and my then 3-year-old identical twin daughters came running to meet me. They had just turned 3, as I said, and they were at this time in their life, they were into all things kind of pink and purple. And tutus and ballerinas and mermaids and makeup. In fact, we called them Pinkalicious and Purplicious. Though I have to say, our favorite nickname came from there when they were born at 6:14 and 6:46 on April 15th, 2005. Our otherwise grim doctor looked at his watch and was like, April 15th, tax day, early filer and late filer. So, okay, on this day, Pinkalicious and Purplicious, they came running in to meet me, and they were doing this dance they had just made up when they turned 3, and they would go faster and faster, and then they tumbled to the ground. And I looked at them, and I crumbled. I kept imagining all the walks I might not take with them, the ballet recitals I might not see, the boyfriends I might not scowl at, the aisles I might not walk down. But they wondered who I was, I thought, would they yearn for my approval, my love, my voice. 3 days later, I woke with an idea of how I might give them that voice. I would reach out to 6 men from all parts of my life and ask them to be present in the lives of my daughters. And I said to myself that I would call this group of men the Council of Dads.